It's time now for Morning Rounds, our look at the top medical news of the week. Joining us are CBS News chief medical correspondent Dr. Jon LaPook and CBS News contributor Dr. Holly Phillips.
First up this morning, a story that made a lot of headlines. Scientists have come up with what may be a new treatment for baldness in both men and women. So far, it's only being tested in mice, but the results are promising. John, how exactly is this working?
It's really amazing because right now, the transplantation of hair is really just a relocation. You take hair generally from the back of the scalp to the front, but you're limited by the number of follicles. Well, what a very clever group at Columbia University Medical Center did, headed up by Dr. Angela Cristiano, is that they went to the cells at the base of the hair, and they took them outside, put them in a petri dish, and multiplied them, and created a lot more of the cells that then make the follicles, and then they were able to put them back in to human bald skin that was grafted onto the back of mice. 4 to 6 weeks later, hair.
So is the quality of this hair the same as the quality as if it had just been moved?
You know, it's not. I spoke to Dr. Cristiano yesterday. She said it's more like baby hair, but they think over time they'll figure out a way to get it. They also don't know after the first hair falls out, will another one grow back? But it's really fascinating.
It's huge news, to say the least. The New England Journal of Medicine reports this week that a 3-year-old in Mississippi may be the first documented case of HIV remission in a child. The little girl was born to a HIV-positive mother, and was treated with the AIDS cocktail drugs beginning when she was only 1 day old. She stayed on the drugs for 18 months. At that point, doctors lost touch with the girl and her mother, and the child stopped treatment. But when she came back to the University of Mississippi Medical Center almost a year later, she had no detectable HIV infection. This is another huge story. I mean, could this be an early promise of a cure?
You know, it's definitely too soon to use the term cure because we don't know if this little girl is going to stay HIV-free for the rest of her life. But it certainly looks that way, and that's why this is such a big deal. You know, basically it showed if you treat HIV right away, you know, ideally within the first few hours of being infected, the medicines can eradicate the virus to the degree that it's permanently erased from our cells. So that's what we're hoping will stay that way in this little girl, and it can have a huge impact.
Holly, potentially how many kids could this help?
You know, worldwide, 400,000 babies are born every year with HIV. That's many fewer in the United States because mothers are generally treated for HIV during their pregnancies, and that cuts down on transmission. Still, if you think 400,000 babies, that's a huge impact.
Sure is. Now, some good news for coffee lovers. Doctors in Italy analyzed more than 15 years worth of studies and found that drinking 3 cups of coffee a day reduces the risk of liver cancer by as much as 50%. It's not clear exactly how coffee might prevent liver cancer, but the new results confirm previous studies that also showed a beneficial effect.
Scandinavian researchers reported this week that the HPV vaccine, which protects against the virus that causes cervical cancer, is extremely safe. 5 years of records for nearly 1 million girls in Denmark and Sweden showed only very rare side effects that could not be definitely connected to the vaccine. The CDC recommends the HPV vaccine for girls and boys starting at age 11. So, John, how are we doing in the U.S. compared to this?
We're doing pretty lousy. Only about 33% of girls and 7% of boys get all 3 shots.
So why are so few kids getting the shots?
Lots of reasons. I think one big one is that the media has overblown the risks and people are just afraid of it. But one of the nice things about a study that this large is it says, yes, there may be some very rare side effects that happen, but in generally, it's a very safe vaccine.
Holly, I've only heard HPV in connection to little girls. Why do little boys need to get this vaccine if they can't get cervical cancer?
You know, a couple of reasons, Anita. Number one, vaccines work best when everybody in the population takes them because then it just cuts down on the amount of illness circulating. But the other thing is we have to remember HPV doesn't just cause cervical cancer. It can also cause cancer of the esophagus, the throat, and other areas. So, you know, we've heard just recently about Michael Douglas had a oral pharyngeal cancer also theoretically from HPV. So this is one way boys can also protect themselves while protecting others.
I gave it to both my sons. I did.
All right, that's an endorsement. Finally this week, something that had everyone smiling here in our CBS newsroom, the remarkable story of a little boy John met a few months ago. Take a look.
This is 3-year-old Grayson Clamp hearing the voice of his father, Len, for the very first time.
Daddy loves you. Daddy loves you.
Grayson was born without the nerve that helps connect the ear to the hearing center in the brain. In April, he became the first child in the U.S. to receive an auditory brainstem implant as part of an FDA-approved clinical trial. The device on his ear collects and transmits sound through wires threaded through the skull. Those wires connect to an implanted electrode that sits in the brainstem. This is Grayson now with his mother, Nicole.
5 months have gone by since the operation. Can you describe what's happened, what Grayson's development has been like?
It's like a little miracle every time he hears something to me. But he's starting to develop speech.
Grayson's teachers say he spontaneously says a few words, like up, go, and bye-bye. Despite this kind of progress, Grayson has a lot of catching up to do. Since he was a toddler, he's been communicating with hand gestures.
You want to make him go up?
Now he has to link sounds with their meaning, one word at a time. Dr. Craig Buckman of the University of North Carolina performed the surgery.
For somebody as young as Grayson, where do you see him in terms of maybe in the future if everything goes right?
You know, I just don't know, honestly. I mean, we're going to have to see where he goes. I mean, I'm really, really hoping for him to develop meaningful spoken language.
You want him to be a normal kid and young man, just like every parent wants for their kid.
No, I don't want him to be normal, actually. I want him to be extraordinary.
Boy, that's a great mother's answer, and it's so true.
It's so true.
It's amazing what's happening here, though.
Oh my God, I have the best job in the world, okay?
Yeah.
I get to meet Grayson, I get to get that hug,
Right.
and then I get to meet Nicole. What an amazing mother. I mean, it's really a terrific story.
Very cool.
Dr. Jon LaPook, Dr. Holly Phillips, thank you both so much.